Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. For a 6 game series, that felt like the longest 6 game series ever, bro. I mean, it honestly felt like it went 7 games the way these two teams fought. You know, welcome to, yep, welcome to another episode of the series recap, episode 3. Tonight is episode 3, where I'm going to talk about both the Suns and Pelicans. So basically, if you don't know what series recap is, it's basically me doing raw, unedited takes and saying exactly what's on my mind. And again, I'm not gonna. It's gonna be hardly some editing here and there, but mostly it's just gonna be raw, unfiltered clips of just me spewing some basketball talk. So yeah, let's get that out of the way. Um, I want to talk about this series because, as the title suggests, the Suns are a good team, but the Pelicans earn my respect. So let's start with the Pelicans. They have impressed me, bro. They really did. From winning the 2 playing games in San Antonio against San Antonio and going to Staples Center, I'm still calling it Staples Center, not that crypto BS. Um, Going in there and doing a number on the LA Clippers. Speaking of which, that playing game between the Clippers and Pelicans, that was all heart, man. That was all heart between both teams. But I think Pelicans showed more heart, and I think when Willie Green, who I'm going to talk about in a sec, said that, "Hey man, y'all got to fight. Y'all should fight this. Like we got to close them out. You want to fight? You gotta fight." And that was like that. That was Denzel Washington-esque the way he delivered this speech because it lit a fire in that Pelicans team, and they were able to get it together and win that game in LA. And they did a number on the Suns too, even if they lost in 6 games. And when can I talk about Willie Green for a sec? That guy, he's the next great coach in this league. The guy is a no quit, no nonsense type of coach, and he's great, man. I loved everything he did against his best friends in Monty Williams and Chris Paul, and making them work. He made those guys work, and Willie Green, he earned my respect, and I think he's the next great coach in this league. And Pelicans, you guys got a gem in him. But and you know what I mean. And the Pelicans drafted really well too. Jose Alvarado, I don't think he was drafted at all. But they just picked him up, and the guy is a rough rider, man. I love watching Jose play because he brings that defense, that toughness, that energy uh, for a basketball team, bro. He brings it every single night. He's not a quitter, and the best part is he's from my dad's borough, Queens, New York, man. And he told me, you know how them Queens dudes play when they play in basketball? Oh man, they treat it like it's game 7 of the finals. Those dudes do not mess around. And oh boy, could that not be more true for my guy Jose? He earned my respect. And Herbert Jones, watching him play the way he did in that Clippers game and throughout this whole series against the Suns, I want to say I'm proud of that guy. I love Herbert Jones, man. He definitely earned my respect throughout this whole thing, bro. And how he fell in the second round is beyond me. Because there were times in this first round series that he absolutely should have went at least mid to late first round. You know what I mean? Like, bro, he can defend with the best of them. Like, I think his wingspan is as long as Jason Tatum's, right? He got that wingspan that guys like Jason Tatum and Kevin Durant have, and he can get up there with the best of them. Like I think in games, I think it was game 4. Yeah, it was game 4. He blocked Mikal Bridges. He blocks Bridges. God damn it, bro. He blocked Mikal's shot, and then I think he blocked Cam Johnson's shot, I think. He blocked 2 jump shots. Dude can go up there with the best of them. And he's also a no nonsense guy, bro. And you know what I mean? I love I love what this Pelicans team did. And Brandon Ingram, I was kind of sad we had to let him go just to get Anthony Davis. And I think in the short term, we won the trade because we got our first championship since 2010 with LeBron and Anthony Davis. But I think in the long term, I think the trade for Brandon Ingram was a major W for the Pelicans, in my honest opinion, because in his first playoff series, he averaged 27, 6, and 6, shooting 48%, 41% from the field, and 48% from the field, 41% from three, and 83% from the line. So I think in the long run, the Pelicans were the ones that won this trade, even if we got our ring. Because, yeah, he wasn't going to fit next to LeBron and AD, but he's emerging right before our very eyes. And a lot of Laker fans are wondering what could have been if we kept Ingram, if we kept Lonzo, if we kept Randall, if we kept Hart. You know, I know Lonzo and Ingram are not on the team anymore. All right, Lonzo and Josh Hart are not on the Pelicans anymore, but I still believe that in the long term, I think New Orleans won the trade. They really did. And the big man Valanciunas, I thought he was a solid All-Star this series, or he looked like an All-Star at least in games 1, 4, and 5, 18, 26, and 17. And I think Valanciunas, he's one of the more underappreciated players in the league. I put him right next to Drew Holiday because he may not be Joel Embiid. He may not be Jokic. He may not be Giannis. Hell, he may not even be a healthy Anthony Davis. But Valanciunas is a 20 and 10 guy. And I know if you look at his stats throughout his whole career, it might not say so, but you got to think about it. When you're playing behind Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan for most of your career, yeah, those numbers are not going to look all that good. And remember, he was a big reason why Memphis clinched the playoffs last year in that play-in win against Golden State. And obviously, they faced the San Antonio Spurs. Valanciunas played a big role in that. So when you give Valanciunas his touches and not put him next to 2 ball-dominant players, which now I'm starting to think that might be the possibility next season because you have CJ, who I'm going to talk about, and Brandon Ingram, and soon to be Zion Williamson, it might limit his touches. But if you have him as the second or third best option on the team, Valanciunas is easily a 20 and 10 guy. It's just that, well, he had to play with 2 ball dominant players in Lowry and DeMar. But he looked great this series. He gave Ayton all he can handle. And I want to talk about CJ McCollum for a sec. I was originally, before I went on that long 2-month break, because I was, trying to deal with school and some other stuff I don't want to talk about. I would have. I did make my video talking about the CJ McCollum trade and what it meant for the Portland Trailblazers and the Pelicans. So I might as well make that a quick little segment here because I want to keep the focus on both the Suns and the Pelicans. What that CJ trade meant for the Blazers is that they're going into a full rebuild. They are going into a full rebuild. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know Dame and CJ are best friends, and they've been in battles together, and it's still weird not seeing CJ in a Blazers uniform. But he became expendable once the play of Anthony Simons drew attention to the front office. You feel me? Like, I know CJ is still loved in Portland, and had it not been for that Game 7 against the Nuggets in 2019, as they would have lost that series. But CJ came up big, and he did come up somewhat big in this series. It's just that, well, down the stretch, he couldn't hit a bucket. Now, I know he's had his blunders. He had that Game 5 turnover last year against the Denver Nuggets where he stepped out of bounds. But I thought when CJ needed to answer the call, he was able to do that. And he did that in the playing games. He did that in stretches throughout this series, more specifically Game 2, and he didn't play all that well in Game 4, but he did hit a big shot. So CJ in Portland, because you gotta think about it. CJ in Portland, when they needed him to step up big, he was able to do just that. Hit that big shot in the play-in versus Memphis. Obviously, as I talked about, the 37 points he had against the Denver Nuggets in 2019, he emerged as a second scoring option in 2016, where he helped backdoor swept the LA Clippers when they had Chris Paul. So CJ emerged as that guy who, if you need a bucket from him, he's gonna give you just that. And he, I don't want to say he is the perfect piece for this Pelican team. Maybe he is, depending on how y'all look at it. But I thought he was a guy that New Orleans needed. Be that leader who's been there and done that, like what Chris Paul is for that young Suns team. And I don't want to say this because he can be a clown, and a lot of people are questioning that Pat Beverly's leadership is good leadership, but what Pat Beverly is for the Minnesota Timberwolves, because he's not the scorer that Chris Paul and CJ McCollum are, but he is still a decent enough leader. I might get slammed for that little comment, but he is the type of leader that the Timberwolves needed to instill that culture that Kevin Garnett left. And CJ McCollum, he knows what New Orleans is about, because he was beat by that same team 4 years ago in the 2018 playoffs. Well, not the same exact team, because that Pelicans team had Drew Holiday and Rondo and AD and all those guys, but you get what I mean. So CJ was exactly, well, fuck it, I'll say it, because this is just on raw and unfiltered thoughts, and I'm just saying what's on the top of my mind. So I'm just gonna backtrack. CJ is exactly what this Portland team needed. A guy with a lot of playoff experience, maybe not finals experience, but a guy that who knows what it's like to be in the playoffs. Because remember, every year he's been in the playoffs, starting with his 9 years in Portland and his first year in New Orleans. And going on to the Blazers side of things, this may signal that Damian Lillard should leave the Portland Trailblazers. Let them start anew with Anthony Simons at the helm. Because if Damian Lillard wants to win that badly like he wants to, what the hell is he going to do with Anthony Simons, Josh Hart, CJ Elleby, Trendon Watford, and Brandon Williams? I mean, I get it. Those guys did beat a retirement home team in Southern California led by LeBron James and Anthony Davis, but we'll talk about that another time. But I think that should signal to Damian Lillard to leave and win that ring. Like, maybe go to the Brooklyn Nets. I don't know if that's possible with Kyrie and KD, but maybe go there because I think he'd be a better fit alongside Kevin Durant than Kyrie Irving, because he's more available outside of this year, because he was out for virtually the whole year because of that abdominal issue. But I don't know. Maybe Miami, maybe Dallas. I don't know, man. Like, I don't even know, man. But I don't think Damian Lillard should stay in Portland. But he's loyal to that city. He's loyal to death about that city. So maybe I can't be too mad at him. Maybe he is at peace with where his career has been. But the guy said he wants to win, and he's not going to win anything as a Portland Trailblazer. Maybe with another team. I want him to go on the Sixers, but the Sixers wanted James Harden. And I'm going to talk about the Sixers pretty soon. That'll be, I think, episode 5 of Series Recap, because in the next episode, it'll be a Utah Jazz slander fest, so I can't wait for that one. But, yeah. I wanted to get that out of the way. I would have made a longer, like a 10-minute video explaining the Blazers and the Pelicans and how the trade actually helped out both teams. But I think in the long run, the Pelicans won it. So I decided to make this a little segment. But yeah, the Pelicans have a really bright future, and I'm so excited to see where they end up next year. But Zion, bruh, go lose some weight. Go do some contract tag drills in the summer. Like Kenny said, we're not approaching the offseason as the offseason. We're approaching the offseason as gearing up for next season. Lose some weight, bro. Because I hate seeing your career go down like this. And again, because of lower extremities, uh, because of his diet, his bad diet, he doesn't have good lower extremities. He's had a foot injury. I think he missed most of his rookie year with a knee injury, if I'm not mistaken. So Zion, bro, you gotta lose some weight. And the thing about it too, now that we're on the topic of Zion, I think because of uh, Brandon Ingram's emergence as a scorer, um, I feel like that Zion is gonna have to be the 1B. Because before then, Zion was the first option and Brandon Ingram was the second. But now, um, you know, it's a whole different ballgame now with Brandon Ingram averaging 27, 6, and 6 in these playoffs. And I think he and BI, Zion and BI, need to have a sit down chat with each other and be like, hey man, who's 1A and who's 1B? Because CJ and Valanciunas, they are options 2 and 3, ramen accidentally. But somewhere down the line, one of them is going to have to be 1A, the other has to be 1B because CJ and Valanciunas are the second and third options of that team, obviously. But Zion, go lose some weight, bro. Play 5v5, pick up games in the summer to get some reps under your belt to help prepare you for next season. But again, these Pelicans are nothing to laugh at. They are nothing to laugh at. They are the next team up. But going back to the Suns, I thought they were in trouble without Devin Booker, to be honest with you, because they were killed on the glass in the first 4 games. Even in their game 3 win, I don't want to say they were crushed on the glass, but they didn't win the rebounding battle in that game. And I think Monty Williams finally opened his eyes in game 5 and decided to give Bismack Biyombo some run because I think he's a better player than his stats show you. I mean, come on, when he was in Toronto throughout that whole playoff run when JV was out, Biyombo was like the best big man. Because he was blocking shots, he was getting rebounds. He was a tough physical defender. He gave a lot of centers problems in that series. It is just that, the Cavs team he faced had LeBron and Kyrie, but again, I don't need to talk about that. But when how do I say this? Because I'm trying to, again, this is raw and unedited, so I'm trying to, put my thoughts in one piece because my original project got deleted. But I didn't like the Suns' chances because they didn't have Devin Booker for a good amount of the series, and I thought they would fold, but they did not. They actually impressed me. They won 2 out of 3 games without Devin Booker. Think about that, because in the regular season, I think weren't they like 8-3 without Book? If I'm not mistaken, weren't they 8-3 and they were against solid teams too? So that team can be a next man up. They have that next man up mentality, man. So they have impressed me with that. I thought they impressed me this series, but the Pelicans impressed me more because I honestly thought they give this series was going to be given away to the Pelicans. But give credit to the Suns, man. They stuck with it. They didn't fold. They kind of panicked in game 4, but they got together and strung up 2 big wins with Booker on one hamstring, on one leg, I should say, in that game 6. So yeah, they didn't have Book, and they won 2 out of 3 games without him. So I thought that was impressive. And that just shows you the character of the Suns team. And I think this kind of exposes a lot of teams because there have been teams like the Lakers and the Nets that rely on LeBron and Anthony Davis, or on Brooklyn side, Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, and last year James Harden. And when those guys went down, it's like their offense faltered because their team does not have a next man up mentality. Rather, live and die by your star. And there's a reason why I didn't blame that series against the Lakers. When I'm talking about the Suns. By the way, I didn't blame that on injuries. Yeah, injuries were a problem in that series, and it gave that blew the door wide open for Devin Booker and Chris Paul and Jay Crowder and all those guys to run through it. But I think it was more so we didn't have that next man up mentality because we were so focused on, LeBron AD get us to the promised land or it's a failure of a season. And we had the pieces to do it too with Dennis Schroeder and Trez and KCP and all those guys. But unfortunately, we didn't have that next man up mentality. The Suns had a next man up mentality. And obviously the Nets, we know their collapse last year and their collapse this year. I made my video about that. See that for yourselves. There was no next man up on that Nets team either when Kyrie and James Harden went down. But the Suns, bro, the Suns, they're a really good team. I don't know what to tell you. I do not know what to tell you. And I think they are much better this year than they were last year, obviously. I think it should be obvious at this point. But I just think in terms of the dynamics, they have the players you can rotate via series within the series. Like I think let's say they play the Milwaukee Bucks this year. They have players that can body up on Giannis that are not Jay Crowder and DeAndre Ayton. They have Bismack. They have JaVale. They can take the blow for blow. They can take Giannis for blow for blow. But I do believe Monty should set up that wall defense without giving Aaron Holiday, Drew Holiday, and Chris Middleton some looks. But I don't believe Middleton is coming back in the playoffs, to be honest with you. Even if they do get past the Celtics, I do not like his chances coming back at all these playoffs. But yeah, I think the Suns last year, I know they were the second seed, but they really didn't have much to lose because the Lakers were favored to win that series with a healthy LeBron and AD. So they were basically playing they were playing like they didn't have any pressure on them. And it's just that, again, injuries blew the door wide open for them. And it's just the Suns didn't have the bodies to deal with Giannis that outside of DeAndre Ayton and maybe Jay Crowder. But now they do. And I'm going to say this. With a healthy book, the Suns do not have any weaknesses. They have depth. They have defense. And if they actually take it seriously, they could be the best rebounding team, not just in the playoffs, but in basketball. Because rebounds were a problem for them in the Pelicans series, and I hope they pay attention to that type of detail because they are going to need it. Maybe not against the Mavs, but definitely against teams like the Warriors and whoever they play in the finals. Because I love Luka and the Mavs, and actually, I'll briefly talk about. I'll briefly preview on what I expect to see in the Suns and Mavs series. So obviously, I expect Dallas to lose this, or I expect Phoenix to win this series. Damn it! There it is. Again, I'm not editing that out, but I expect Phoenix to win this series 4-1 or 4-2 because I do believe the Mavs are a pretty solid team than people give them credit for, but they're not a big team at all. It's just that, they make the Jazz look small. And again, my next episode is going to be a Jazz slander only. I'll give my brief praises for the Dallas Mavs, but I'm not even going to talk about it. But their only big man that actually plays is Maxi Kleber. Remember, they traded Porzingis. They let go of Willie Cauley-Stein, who wasn't even good. Marquise Chris, who played for the Warriors, does not even get any run time. He doesn't even get any run time. And if I'm Jason Kidd, I would think about playing Marquise Chris to match DeAndre Ayton. Maybe give him some problems, but that's just me because I actually like Marquise Chris. I'm not one of those casuals that say, "Oh yeah, he's a bust." But yeah, Marquise Chris, I think Marquise Chris is a decent player. But Luca and Brunson versus Booker and Chris Paul, I think that'll be something to watch. But I think Charles Barkley said it best. I expect the series to be a DeAndre Ayton feast fest. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't have guys that can guard DeAndre Ayton like Valanciunas can. They don't have those guys. So I think DeAndre Ayton, and this is what kind of pissed me off about DeAndre Ayton, because he did this last year and he did it in stretches this year. DeAndre Ayton is a much more polished offensive player than he was when they made the finals last year. But my problem with him is what my problem was with or has been with Anthony Davis post chip, and my problem with Brook Lopez, obviously, and my problem with Porzingis in that Clipper series. He settles for way too many jumpers. I thought in stretches he looked like the best big man in basketball when his mind is right and he plays aggressive. He is maybe not the best big man in basketball, but he is much better when he's aggressive and attacking to the basket. And I think that's what he has to do come second round versus the Dallas Mavs, because he cannot have stretches where all it is just him settling for jump shots. He's got to get into the low post, and if he gets double teamed, kick it out, because Jay will be open for a three, Book will be open for a three, Chris Paul can hit some threes. So DeAndre Ayton, for all intents and purposes, he has to be the best player in this Mavs series, because I do believe it'll go 5 or 6 games, because the Mavs will give them all they can handle offensively. But defensively, they're not as good as the Pelicans. I'll say that right now. Finney-Smith's a good defender. Brunson's a good defender. Dinwiddie is an underrated defender. A lot of people underappreciate his defense. But, they're not on New Orleans. They're not on the level of the Pelicans defensively. So yeah, that is basically all my takes. Again, I had my original project. I accidentally deleted it, so this is basically a rehashed version of it. I think this turned out a lot better. But man, I'm at 27 minutes. Jesus. So I'm just gonna end it right here. My next episode of series recap will be a Jazz Slander Fest. That will be coming out at some point tomorrow. I'm releasing this episode. Today is Thursday, April 28th, so I will release it first thing in the morning. But and my video on the Jazz game 4, episode 4 series recap, that will be released tomorrow as well, probably during the afternoon, heading into nighttime. Hopefully I can release that before the Memphis T-Wolves game. But yeah, until then, that's the end of this video. I'm X. Deuces.